What is freedom? I'm talking about spiritual freedom, enlightenment, or whatever you want to call it. That sounds like a big, complicated question to answer. But that answer's simpler than you think. Welcome to the Power of Quiet, showing you how to discover your true unlimited nature and how to live your life with total happiness and freedom. And on that note, if I was to ask you, what is freedom? What would you say? And if I asked my father the same question, what is freedom? What would he say? And if I asked the cashier at the neighborhood grocery store, what is freedom? What would they say? Now, obviously, each of us, myself included, we would have a very different answer to that question, what is freedom? See, to most people, freedom could simply mean freedom from oppression. You're not having somebody tell you what you can or cannot do, right? The freedom to live your life as you choose. Lots of people would consider that to be freedom. And lots of people have fought and died for that type of freedom. Now to others, freedom might simply mean lots of abundance. The freedom to travel wherever you want, the freedom not to have to work a 9-to-5, or the freedom to just purchase something without even having to think about it, without having to check your bank balance to see if it's doable. And others, freedom can simply be a spiritual idea. Maybe something esoteric like dropping the body and going out in a flash of light. Now, a lot of us, and chances are you, since you're here, you're on a spiritual path and you've probably have seen or read from some spiritual masters. And you're listening to what they say, you're watching how they act, and you're thinking, wow, they must be free. I want to be like them. But honestly, how do you know they're free? Even Lester Levenson, who's arguably a spiritual master, he even said, how do you know that I am who I say I am? You got to find out for yourself. And that brings us back to, what is freedom? What is it that we're all looking for? How do we know where to find it? And how do we know once we're there, if we actually got it? And again, when we're looking at, well, what is freedom? Most of us, we're looking in our mind for that answer. We're trying to imagine it, or we're trying to gather data of what I read from this person and what I listened to here and what makes sense. And even I've had some experiences where I felt, wow, that's really free. But then I went back into hardship again. And from that place, I was like, well, was I really there? I mean, if I was there, where did it go? So where is this freedom? Now, here's the problem with this, because this idea of freedom that we have, that's in our imagination, right? We really don't know, but we're chasing after it. It's like anything else that we're chasing after in life, whether it's a new car or some fancy toy that we want, or a relationship. All these things that we lust after, right? That we desire for in life. The reason why we desire them is because we think, well, once we get that thing, once we get that wonderful car or that great relationship, I'm going to be so happy, right? That's going to give me the happiness that I'm looking for. And it's the same with this idea of freedom. Once I achieve this thing that I think this other person has, if I could be like them, then I'm going to be so happy. I'm going to be on top of the world. But it's just reduced to another desire that we're chasing after, which leaves a lot of us stuck. Because if you're familiar with this channel, and the work that we do here, then you've seen for yourself that desire is a state of lack, right? When you're desiring something, it feels like you're lacking it. And once you get that thing, then you're going to be happy. But in the meantime, you're chasing after it, feeling, I don't have it, I lack it, and you feel down about yourself. That's what desire is all about. And we desire freedom the same way, and we get stuck, just like we do with a lot of other things that we desire in life. And we're not focusing on something that I say is a definition of freedom that we can all agree upon. So instead of like these ideas that we have of what is freedom, let me just put it this way. Freedom is simply one thing: imperturbability. And imperturbability, it's a big word. It simply means that nothing and nobody can bother you. And in the same sense, no one and nothing can give you anything. It's just being completely imperturbable, not bothered, hootless about what happens to you and what happens in the world. Now, most of us, we look at imperturbability, it's like, that doesn't sound so good. Like, let me ask you, well, what does imperturbability mean to you? And chances are, however you're looking at imperturbability, and you might be looking at it in a favorable way, but it's not as nice as that golden vision, that promise of freedom, right, that's in the imagination. Instead, imperturbability looks kind of bland and boring, right? If I'm imperturbable, then I have no preference. I won't desire anything. I won't even have any personality. Plus, imperturbability, that feels like a chore. That feels like work. I don't want to do that. And heck, I might have to confront some uncomfortable things to test my imperturbability. Who wants to do that? So when we look at the definition of freedom as only imperturbability, and by the way, it can only be imperturbability, because if freedom depends on that idea that you're imagining in your head, and it turns out to be not that way, where do you go from there? You got a problem. Or if freedom depends on certain conditions being met and they aren't, again, you got a problem. And the other thing about imperturbability compared to freedom, see, where freedom is something that you're chasing an idea, and it's something out there to be attained. You're looking for it, wondering where it is, where do I find it? Whereas imperturbability, that's something that's actionable right now in this moment. That's a decision that you can invoke. Even if your whole world is falling apart, you can make that decision to be imperturbable. It doesn't depend on attaining something out there or in the future. Imperturbability is something you can act on no matter what is going on right here, right now. But again, imperturbability is something that we're not that interested in. And when we compare it to this idea that we have of freedom, we look at imperturbability, it's like, oh, that's not as sexy as what I'm envisioning in my head. I don't really want to go there. And we act on this in our day-to-day lives. The way we live, we're not very imperturbable because of all the things that we want in this world, that we want more than imperturbability. See, a lot of us, we've heard this idea before of imperturbability, and we agree with it. And some of us, we'll recite it to ourselves, like, oh, I want imperturbability more than anything else, like it's some sort of mantra that we're saying to ourselves. But in our actions, we act the total opposite way. Right? I don't want to give up my pizza. I don't want to give up my Netflix or my favorite YouTube channels. I want those more than I want imperturbability. See, imperturbability implies that you could just walk away from everything and not be bothered by it. But look at all the things that we hold on to. Oh, I got to have my breakfast tacos. I got to have that root beer. I got to have that fast car that gives me a thrill whenever I drive it. I got to go visit, exotic places so I could feel good about myself. There's so many things that we want. And on a deeper level, we look at things like our family, our loved ones. How could I just walk away from them? And to be clear, I'm not saying that we need to walk away from them, but we have to be in a place where it is totally okay, 100% okay if we do. But we don't want to do that. I mean, how could I just abandon my family? Go, maybe in my imagination I have to go and live up on a mountain in a cave in order to act out this enlightened state, right? Have no attachments and no aversions and so on. And I don't want to leave that stuff. I need them and they need me. And that's a serious thing. I mean, how could I ever abandon my family like that? But like I said, you don't have to. You don't have to leave them behind. You just have to have the willingness to. Right? That imperturbability where you're just as happy even if everything that you love and treasure in this world completely disappears. You have to have that attitude of just letting it all go, right here, right now. And the only thing that's in the way of that is just a feeling. Now, before I mentioned how desire is a feeling of lack, right? In the moment where I'm desiring something like a new car, and I'm lusting after that car, I'm thinking, oh, it's going to be so great when I get it. All the while, here I am in this moment going, oh, I don't have that car yet. I don't have this great career yet. And we feel bad about ourselves. We beat ourselves up because we're not quite there yet. We don't have the things that we want, right? We feel bad about that. That's that lacking feeling. And we get stuck in that. And when we're desiring something, we're also holding the wrong thing in mind because we're picturing it out there rather than something that is within our own domain to have. Right? It's, oh, out there, I got to attain it someplace. And all the while I'm searching for it, looking for it, I feel I'm lacking it. I feel incomplete until that thing will complete me. Now, that's just a lacking feeling. And we're looking at giving up everything that we already have. Oh, we're like hoarders. I got this stuff, I got that stuff, I got those people, and I got to hold on to all of it. If I let it go, I'm going to lose everything that makes me happy. And that's what stops us. We're really not that interested in imperturbability. We're more interested in holding on to things in the world. But guess what? We see it every day. People dropping and dying. And when they do that, they got to give everything up. All their riches, their house, their family. We might have ideas that, we're going to meet our family somewhere, someplace in heaven or in another life. Who knows? Maybe, maybe not, but we don't know. We don't know until we're actually there. We might have faith or ideas, but we still don't know. But we do know that people do drop dead. We see them. And all the stuff in this world, we are going to have to give up and let go of someday. But why not take that attitude right now and have that attitude of just letting everything go? And on that note, let's do a little bit of releasing, because in these videos here, it's not just me lecturing at you, talking about what freedom is. Everything that we do here is experiential. And that was Lester Levenson's point. It's like, well, how do you know I am who I say I am? You got to experience freedom for yourself. That way you know it. And that's some steps that we can take right now. Because when we embrace imperturbability as the one and only way to freedom, then we could do something about that. So let me ask you, what would you have to give up in order to be imperturbable? Maybe it's like your favorite comfort food, or a certain person in your life. And imagine them just suddenly disappearing. You can never have it, or them, ever again, right now. First of all, how would that make you feel? If your ability to enjoy that thing that you treasure so much just disappeared. Now you're probably just thinking about that, kind of already feeling like, ugh, that doesn't feel so good. But let's focus in on that feeling. And the way we do it here is in how we release. We don't necessarily release from our mind, but we release through our feeling center here. And what I want you to do is just focus in this feeling center here in your stomach and chest area. And when you think about losing something that you treasure right now, never having it again, just bring your attention to your stomach or chest and see if there's like a tightness, a clenching feeling in your stomach or chest area. Do you feel that? Kind of like a, kind of like a knot in your stomach when you think about losing something you really love and treasure. Right, you feel that? It doesn't feel so great, right? It's a very uncomfortable, tight feeling. It's a lacking feeling, isn't it? And here's the thing. Chances are, what I just asked you, this thing that you treasure, you still have it right now. Right? It's still here. Nothing's gone. But here you are, even with the thing that you treasure, and just a thought brings a feeling of lack. Now, where did that feeling of lack come from? Did it just magically appear? Or is it something that's been buried in you for a while? And just thinking about it kind of brings up this feeling like, it's already inside of you. That's the point. Now, since you're right now experiencing a lacking feeling, right? And that tightness, that contraction, right? Just focus on that right now. And you have a choice. You can try to push that feeling back down. Ugh, that doesn't feel so good. Let's shove that down so I don't have to deal with that. That's what most of us do with our feelings. But they don't go anywhere. See, I just asked you a question and up comes this lacking feeling. It's been there all along. But you can erase this feeling. Completely erase it so that you just have no feeling of lack. Doesn't mean that you lose anything. You just don't have to walk around with this lacking feeling. So focus in on that tightness, that contraction. Again, I'll ask you, right? Think about losing someone or something that you really value and treasure in your life right now. All right, and just feel that tightness, that contraction in your stomach or chest, in your feeling center here. And wherever you feel that, right in front of that tightness, open up an imaginary window or door. And what that tightness is, just energy, right? Like a surge of energy came up. And I want you to just imagine that energy leaving out that door right now. And just watch it leave. However it looks like to you. There's no right or wrong way to look at it. Just imagine that energy just going right on out that door. And watch it go out a little bit more. And a little bit more. And even more. And see if you could open up that door a little bit wider. And maybe invite some more of that energy, wherever it came from, to come up and go out that door. All right, see if there's some more there. Just welcome it up and just watch it go out that door. And more. And even more. It's just energy leaving out the door. There's nothing to figure out about it. Where did it come from? What does it mean? All right, it's not good or bad. It's just energy passing through that door. Just watch it leave. And watch it leave a little bit more. And even more. And even more. All right? Notice how you feel. Feel a little bit different? Now, we're not looking for something like fireworks going off necessarily. We're just looking for a little bit lighter feeling. You feel a little bit lighter? Notice the difference. Now, think about losing that person or thing that you value again and again. See if there's a contraction that comes up. Maybe a little bit less than last time. And again, wherever you feel that contraction, that tightness in your stomach or chest, open up a door, imaginary door right in front of it. And just let that energy go right on out that door. And a little bit more. And a little bit more. And even more. All right, how does that feel? Even lighter? And now think about that thing again. And see if you're as bothered as you were a few moments ago. Or do you just feel more calm? You feel nice and light rather than all tight and contracted. And that, right there, is the goodness of imperturbability. It's just that lighter feeling. And here's the thing about imperturbability. Now, your mind might look at that and say, that doesn't look so good. Not having any preference of things being one way or the other, being happy with everything, sitting there being okay if the whole world is falling apart. How could you not be bothered by that or not care what's going on? That mind might even try to convince you that, well, if you're that way, that's just like a spiritual bypass sort of a thing. Or it's not being empathetic, not caring. Right? It throws all these things at you. But notice when you get down these paths of, trying to care so much, it just leaves you miserable. You're always worried and trying to control things to make sure that they're right and things don't fly off the handle. Trying to manage everything and so on, rather than just letting it be. And notice, when you just let go, and you let that energy go, your feeling is, there is no problem. I could just let things be. And this is something that you can only discover for yourself. Is that, when your mind says, well, you don't want to go down that path because you're not going to be relatable. No one's going to understand you. And you're not going to have any joy in the world, no satisfaction in the world. Everything that your mind tells you that's wrong about imperturbability, why you shouldn't go there, it's all a lie. It's the exact opposite. If you're imperturbable about, letting your family go and they all disappear, it's not true. You don't have to leave your family. And you don't miss out on anything when you get imperturbable, that opens the door to having all those wonderful things that you're imagining. The difference is you're not chasing after them. It's something that just unfolds from within you, and you have complete power and control over that to have whatever you want, whenever you want it, and then let it go if you want. That's what being a master is. It's the ability to have or not have. Really, I mean, not be a slave to anything. You can have exactly what you want, but you only can achieve that ability to have exactly what you want only when you're imperturbable. When things matter and you're bothered if you don't get what you want, that's where everything is all messed up and there's no freedom there. So imperturbability, that's the only way to go. And like I said, imperturbability is something that is actionable, which means you have to act on it. You have to bring up everything that bothers you. Test yourself. Prove to yourself that you are imperturbable. Confront all the things that make you uncomfortable and release. Just like we did here. But there's even deeper ways that we show you how to release. You know, and the real work that we do here, right? The type of releasing that we do on this channel is just scratching the surface. But it's here to show you that you can let go of these negative, uncomfortable feelings. But it's up to you to go for that imperturbability and confront these feelings head on. And it's not a chore. It's not something that is gruesome or torture to put yourself through. Look at what you experienced a moment ago. When you just opened up the door, let that energy go, you instantly got lighter in no time. So it's up to you to use imperturbability to bring up all your garbage, bring up all your negativity, and use it for releasing. So that you can experience firsthand what it's like to be a master. Now, if you want to dive deeper into this work, like I said, what we're doing here is just scratching the surface. And you want to experience real imperturbability and get that experience, what it's like to be where Lester and these other true spiritual masters are at. You can do it. It takes no time. And I'm doing a new 6-week course called Living Your Life's Purpose, where it's all about discovering who you are, what your real purpose in life is. It's not to chase after these things and hold on to a bunch of stuff that you eventually have to let go of, basically accomplishing nothing in this life, or find out who you are, why you are here in the first place. What is it that you're here to learn overall? And then learn it, be it, do it. That's what this new 6-week course is all about. And if you're really ready to step up and prove to yourself that you can accomplish the same things as these great ones, you can do it too. So check it out. I'll put a link to this new course below. We're starting in April. So check it out and see for yourself if you're ready to experience what freedom is really all about.